Hey everybody, so far we have a few different things going on in our game. We have multiple players, we have all sorts of information on our HUD that's coming up, and we're able to spawn different characters in all the time. Next thing we really need to be able to do is move around the map. So if we want to be able to do that, we're going to have to make a new camera. So we're going to go up here to our camera. And the one we already have in our level, I'm going to go ahead and remove it. We don't technically need to have that now. And we want to do a little bit of housekeeping so we can set some things up before we get into building the camera, the new camera itself. So we're going to go up here to our game mode. And inside of our game mode, we're going to call actually setting up the camera. So we can tell the camera to start, getting itself aligned with our player characters. Since it's not just the camera that we're using for everything, it's the camera that we're using to follow different characters. It's going to have references to those players, and with that, we're going to have to work through our game mode to make that work. First thing we want to do is we're going to make a custom event here in our game mode. We'll just put it right next to the other custom events we've been building. Let's go ahead and do a new one here. Custom event. And this one we're going to call add player to camera. And we're going to drag off of this one and we're going to call an event dispatcher. So we're going to have an event dispatcher down here. We're going to make this new one. We're going to call it setup camera. Okay. And we're not going to do anything crazy with this one, just doing a call. We don't need any other inputs or anything like that. We're just making this event dispatcher call. That's it inside the game mode. Next little bit of housekeeping we want to do is go over to our player controller. And whenever we have someone join the game, we're going to want to, after we spawn, we want to have the camera respond to them. So we're going to do add player to game, which is going to be player to game. We got to spell it right. Or add player to camera. There we go. And that's going to be coming from our game mode. So we need to get our game mode reference, which we've already pulled previously. Just did that up here. Okay, so we can use that again. Good reason to have a game mode reference. Okay, go ahead and compile that, save everything. And now we want to build the actual camera. So let's do that inside of our couch co-op space as well. There might be times where you want to fix the camera, so this might be a good one to have. And now you'll have a brand new one that you could use to follow your players around whatever space you decided to develop. So we're going to go ahead and make a new actor, BP underscore, let's do CC follow camera. Okay. And we're going to use this one. Okay, there we go. We're going to have to build this one kind of from the ground up. So first thing we're going to want to do is add a sphere or something to the ground. We're going to need something that is going to be holding its place right next to all the other players. So this is like a regular actor that's going to be reacting to all the other characters that are in the space. So let's go ahead and take a look here. There's our sphere. And I think one thing we probably want to do is have it come up a little bit off of the scene root, so it's not just tucked into the ground whenever it shows up. And as far as scale, I don't need it to be massive, so I'm actually going to reduce that by half. Okay, there we got the lock on, so everything's changing. Good. Whenever we got everything working, after we have established that this is what we want, and it seems to be following our characters around well, then we'll probably make this invisible. But definitely one thing we want to do right now is we want to turn the collision off. So we're going to go to the collision for our sphere right here. We're going to go to no collision whatsoever. And after this, we're going to need a spring arm because that's what's going to make our camera move closer and further away. So we definitely need that. For the distance on that, the target arm length, we're going to start off at 900. We'll be adjusting that later on with the zoom video we'll do after this one. And we're going to get an ad, and we need a camera. Okay, just a regular old camera will be totally fine. And keep in mind here, we want the spring arm attached to the sphere. We want it underneath the sphere, and the camera attached to the spring arm. So we want the camera underneath the spring arm there. Okay, so there's our camera. This is essentially what we're going to see in the level. Okay, let me go ahead and drag that in. The way it's set up right now, it's just going to make itself, there we go. It's going to make itself just shoot straight on like that. So we want to probably tip it up a little bit so that we're at a bit of an angle, kind of like what we had before. So about a 45 would probably be good. And we can set that here. And you could also set it inside the actors if you wanted to, but you can put it into level and kind of get what you need right here. Okay. All right. Next thing we wanted to do is we're going to need to do a little bit of coding inside of our camera. So I'm going to go back to our event graph. I'm going to get rid of these for now. We're probably going to come back to that event tick here in just a little bit. But off the event begin play, one of the things we're going to need is we're going to need a reference to our game mode, because that's where we're getting some of our information about starting the camera. So I'll drag off of that. We'll cast to GMCC, and we'll get game mode as our object that we need here. Mode. There we go. Cool. And just pull this up here. And we're going to make a reference to this just so we can grab it any other time we want to. So game mode ref. There we go. That's going to make things easier if we need to use that game mode in a different space. Then we're going to be getting the information from the event dispatcher. So we're going to drag off of this, bind event to, what did we call that? Setup camera. That's what we called it. Okay, there we go. And we're going to just connect this game mode reference to this, because that's where we're getting this event dispatcher from. And we'll pull off of this. We're going to do create event. Okay, and we're going to have it make a function. So we got a custom event here. I'm sorry, not a function. We're going to make it a custom event here. Okay, so we're going to go from our custom event, and we're going to do something similar to what we did with our previous camera. We want to pull off of this and do set view target with blend. Let's see. I'm going to probably have to turn off the old context sensitive. There it is. Okay, good deal. All right. And then since our player controller gets created for our first player, no matter what, we'll go ahead and get that. We'll get player controller. And we don't want to get the player state. We're looking for get player controller game player, that one right there. Yeah, because we should have the index. That'll be for our first player right there. And then we want to get a reference to self. Okay, cool. And the new view target. And then from here, we want to get all the actors that we have of the BP third person class. So that'll include all the child actors that we created. So we'll get all actors of class. There we go. And we want to specify we're getting the third person character. There we go. From here, what we want to do is we want to turn this out actors into a variable. We're going to promote that to a variable, and we got our out actors right here. Instead of calling it that, let's just call it active players. There we go. That'll make that a little bit easier to understand what we're using it for. And last thing is we want to set actor tick enabled. So what that's going to do is at that point, the camera will be able to start moving around. We're going to use the tick to move that around, as well as another specialized node. Set actor tick enabled. There we go. And we'll just make sure that that is enabled right there. Okay. We have one more piece we're going to be doing on here, and that's going to be, now that the tick is enabled, we're going to go with event tick. Okay. This kind of setup right here just kind of makes it happen in a certain order so we can make sure everything's coming together the way we want it to. So now that we have the event tick, what we'll do from there is we're going to, let's see, first, we'll probably want to get our sphere right there. And we're going to get world location. Yeah, I think that's right. Yep, that's it. And then we're going to turn this into a variable. And we're going to call this one previous location. So this is where the camera is before it moves to wherever the characters are. And when they move again, this previous location will update. So it'll know like, okay, this is where we're starting from and this is where we're moving to. Okay. All right. From here, we're going to, let's see, get our active players. And from here, we're going to get actor average location. So what this is going to do for us is get all the characters, and it's going to find out what's right in the center of them. Basically, that's kind of what we're looking for. Then we're going to move to wherever that center is. So we're going to take our sphere again, and we're going to set world location. There we go. Right there. And we'll hook up the execution pins. To make it actually move, like to smoothly move, we want to use a lerp. So what lerp stands for, or what lerp means, is that we're going to interpolate, we're going to move through a set of values smoothly. It's kind of like what we do with a timeline, but in the blueprint. So we'll go in here, we'll do lerp vector, there we go. And we'll use our previous location for where we're comparing things to. So this is where we're going to be heading to, and this is where we currently are. And as far as alpha is concerned, we're going to do like a 0.1. You can always change it from this, increasing or even decreasing the camera movement speed is basically what this is going to be right here. Okay, go ahead and hook that up. And that should be pretty much everything. Let me go ahead and check a couple things, and let's see how this thing works. So our characters spawn right here. We go ahead and hit play. Now, notice, okay, we're not seeing anything. I'm going to go ahead and bring in another character. There we go. Now we can see that it's actually, yeah, but we got some problems because it's cutting into stuff. And anytime our characters run over here and get close to it, our camera tries to go inside of our characters. And I think I know what our easy fix on this one is. So we're going to go back into the follow camera. We're going to take a look at our spring arm here real quick. Okay. So under camera collision, we have on our spring arm, we have this little box right here. It says do collision tests. Now what that's doing is whenever our spring arm comes into contact with something, it causes the camera to move forward out of the way of whatever that is. So if there's a player in the way, or there's a wall, like a short wall or something like that in the way, it takes the camera and shoves it right next to the sphere, so it's so there's nothing in between the sphere and the camera. So in this case, we just want to turn that off, and I think that's going to take care of a lot of issues for us. Okay, I'm going to hit back into our level. I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Now, right now, you see that we don't have anything in the level. I'm going to hit enter though. Now that I've spawned in my character, I can move around, and you can see that the ball is basically staying right on top of our character. I'm going to add another character in. Okay, there's our red lady right there, and I'll throw in a blue guy real quick. Now, depending on where they go, this isn't zooming yet, but whenever we move around, this thing's going to try and stay in the middle of all of us. So I'm going to try and get the red lady a little closer up here. I don't know where she's at. Let's see if we can find her. All right. I think I see her shadow down here. Okay, cool. Yeah, there she is. Okay. So we're not really getting the zoom that we want, but we are able to track everybody kind of close together. And that's getting us what we want. We just are needing probably one more thing to make this show up. And I don't really like it that it's starting like this, and then we bring the character in, then it's looking okay. I think what we're going to need to do is go back into our player character here. Now, as soon as we request spawn, this shows up, right? Now, all of our controllers are already in here. So I think what we're going to need to do is probably set up the camera or add a player to camera as soon as we set up the controller. So I'm just going to grab this, hit Control D. Now we have another copy of it. I'm just going to put it right up here after we get the game mode reference in the player character. I'm sorry, not player, in the player controller. Compile. Let's try this again. Let's see if this shows up on screen for us. Hey, there we go. So we have the camera showing up right where we need it to be. And then we pop in a character, and all of a sudden we're able to move around, get whatever we need. Okay, so let's see if we can go over to this other space over here together. All right. There we go. All right, we can make it over to new parts of our level now. And in our next video, we'll learn to zoom in and out so we can see where our characters go without losing them. Okay, because this yellow guy, he's crazy. All right.